Sometimes the strongest attacks come right before God restores what the enemy thought he destroyed. You may be wondering why the pressure suddenly increased, why your peace feels attacked, why old fears are returning, why distractions are getting louder, why people, problems, and thoughts seem to rise against you at the exact moment you are trying to heal, pray, and move forward. But listen carefully. The attack is not always proof that you are failing. Sometimes it is proof that something is being restored. The enemy does not fight what has no purpose. He does not pressure what carries no threat. He attacks the place where God is working because he wants you to quit before you see what heaven has already started. So if the battle has been heavy, do not assume God has left you. By the end of this message, you will understand why the attack increased, why your restoration is still possible, and how to stand firm until God finishes what he began. The attack is not random. It may feel random because it came suddenly. One moment you were trying to heal, trying to pray, trying to move forward, and then everything seemed to rise against you at once. Your mind became crowded. Your emotions became heavy. Old wounds started speaking again. Old temptations returned. Old people appeared. Old fears began knocking on the door of your heart. But spiritual pressure often has a pattern. The enemy attacks identity before restoration, because if he can make you forget who God says you are, he can make you live beneath what God is preparing for you. He attacks peace before clarity, because a confused mind struggles to hear God clearly. He attacks faith before breakthrough, because if he can convince you that nothing is changing, you may stop believing right before the answer arrives. He attacks healing before freedom because he wants the wound to stay open long enough to control your decisions. That is why you must not judge the season only by the pressure you feel. Pressure does not always mean God is absent. Sometimes pressure means purpose is present. The enemy does not waste energy on what carries no threat. If your peace is being attacked, maybe your peace is powerful. If your faith is being tested, maybe your faith is carrying something important. If your healing is being challenged, maybe your freedom is closer than you think. So do not let the attack convince you that restoration is impossible. It may be trying to make you quit too early. And that is one of the enemy's oldest strategies. The enemy wants you to quit too early. Not always loudly, not always through something obvious. Sometimes he does it by making the last part of the process feel heavier than everything that came before it. You prayed, but nothing seemed to change. You waited, but the door did not open. You believed, but the pressure increased. You tried to heal, but the pain came back. And slowly, a quiet thought began to whisper, maybe this will never change. Maybe God forgot. Maybe restoration is not coming. That is the moment the enemy wants. Because if he can make you tired enough, he does not need to destroy the promise. He only needs to convince you to walk away from it. He wants you to stop praying right before God strengthens you. He wants you to stop believing right before the answer begins to form. He wants you to return to old patterns right before freedom takes root. He wants you to make a permanent decision while standing inside temporary pressure. But delay is not denial, and pressure is not proof that God has abandoned you. Sometimes the battle gets intense because you are closer to freedom than you think. The enemy knows that if you keep standing, keep praying, keep obeying, and keep trusting God, you will eventually step into a place he can no longer control. So do not quit in the middle of the shaking. Do not surrender your faith because the process feels slow. Do not let one hard season make you forget every time God has carried you before. The enemy is not always trying to destroy your whole life. Sometimes he is only trying to make you quit one step before God answers. But quitting is not the only strategy. When he cannot make you give up completely, he tries to pull you back into the old version of yourself. The enemy attacks the version of you God is healing. Pay attention to that. He does not always attack random areas of your life. Many times, he attacks the exact place where God has started restoring you. If God is healing your peace, confusion suddenly gets louder. If God is healing your confidence, rejection suddenly shows up. If God is healing your faith, doubt begins whispering again. If God is healing your boundaries, guilt comes knocking. If God is healing your identity, the enemy sends voices that remind you of who you used to be. That is not a coincidence. The attack is often a clue to the area God is healing, because the enemy wants you to return to the old version of yourself, the version that panicked, the version that reacted, the version that begged for approval, the version that kept running back to what God was trying to deliver you from. He wants you to believe that because the wound still hurts, healing is not happening. But healing does not always mean you never feel pain again. Sometimes healing means the pain no longer controls your decisions. It means the same trigger appears, but this time you pause, you pray, you breathe. You do not return to the same cycle. That is growth. And the enemy hates growth because growth means you are becoming harder to control. So when the pressure touches the same places God has been restoring, do not panic. Discern it. Ask, what is this attack trying to pull me back into? Is it fear? Is it bitterness? Is it doubt? Is it an old relationship? Is it an old habit? Is it the old version of me that did not know how to trust God? Because the enemy may be attacking that area because he sees that God is freeing you there. And if this message is speaking to your season, subscribe for more videos that help you heal, stay silent, and trust what God is doing. But when the enemy cannot stop your healing directly, he often uses another weapon, distraction. Distraction often comes right before restoration, because if the enemy cannot stop what God is restoring, he will try to steal your focus from the one who is restoring it. That is why strange things can start happening when you are close to healing. Old people return with old conversations. Old wounds get touched again. Arguments appear from nowhere. Fear becomes louder. Temptation starts sounding familiar. Something small suddenly feels big enough to pull your heart away from prayer. And before you realize it, you are no longer focused on what God promised. You are focused on the storm. That is exactly what happened when Peter walked on water. As long as his eyes were on Jesus, he was moving through what should have swallowed him. But when he looked at the wind, fear entered. The storm did not remove Jesus. The storm only distracted Peter from him. And that is how distraction works. It does not always destroy your calling. Sometimes it just pulls your attention away from the voice of God long enough for fear to take over. The enemy wants you so focused on who hurt you, who left you, who misunderstood you, what might go wrong, and what has not happened yet, that you forget God is still standing in front of you. The storm is not always there to stop you. Sometimes it is there to steal your focus. So protect your attention in this season. Do not give every problem your whole heart. Do not let every argument pull you out of peace. Do not let old voices drag you back into old reactions. Do not spend more time studying the attack than trusting the God who already knows how to restore you. Because if the enemy is fighting your focus must be powerful. And restoration will require you to keep your eyes on God even while the wind is loud. Restoration requires a stronger you. Because God is not just restoring what you lost. He is restoring the person you were before the pain changed you, before the betrayal made you guarded, before the disappointment made you tired, before the rejection made you question your worth, before the attacks made you feel like peace was something you had to fight for every day. God wants to restore more than your situation. He wants to restore your heart. And sometimes that means he allows you to walk through battles that strengthen what weakness tried to break. He teaches you endurance when you want quick relief. He teaches you discernment when old voices return. He teaches you patience when the promised feels delayed. He teaches you self-control when the attack tries to pull a reaction out of you. Because what God is bringing back into your life cannot be carried by the old version of you. The old version reacted to every attack. The old version panicked when things became uncertain. The old version chased people who were walking away. The old version measured God's faithfulness by how quickly things changed. But the restored version of you is different. This version prays before reacting. This version protects peace without guilt. This version does not run back to old cycles just because the waiting season feels lonely. This version understands that pressure does not mean failure. It can mean preparation. So do not make permanent decisions in temporary pressure. Do not return to what God already delivered you from. Do not let one difficult day convince you to abandon a promise God has been preparing for a long time. Keep obeying quietly. Keep praying honestly. Keep guarding your peace. Keep choosing faith even when your feelings are shaking. Because the battle is not only around you, God is doing something within you. And once you understand this, the attack no longer looks like defeat. It starts looking like confirmation. The attack can be a sign that restoration is close. Not because every problem means a breakthrough is coming tomorrow, but because pressure often increases near transition. The enemy knows when movement is happening. He knows when your heart is healing. He knows when your faith is becoming stronger. He knows when the old chains are losing their grip. And that is why the attack becomes loud. He tries to create fear before freedom, confusion before clarity, exhaustion before renewal, doubt before the door opens. He wants you so overwhelmed by the battle that you forget God is still working behind the scenes. But do not mistake noise for authority. The enemy can make noise, but he cannot cancel what God has spoken. He can send pressure, but he cannot stop restoration when God has decided to rebuild. He can remind you of what was broken, but he cannot erase the God who restores broken things. So stand firm. The attack is loud because the enemy is afraid of what your restored life will produce. He knows that when your peace returns, you will not be easy to control. When your faith returns, you will not be easy to discourage. When your identity is restored, you will stop living beneath what God called you to be. So do not surrender now. Pray through the pressure. Worship through the fear. Keep your focus when distractions come. Guard your heart when old wounds speak. And remember this, the enemy does not get the final word over what God is restoring. Restoration may be closer than your feelings are telling you. And now it is time to seal this message with faith. So if the enemy has been attacking before restoration, do not let the pressure convince you that God has abandoned you. The battle may be heavy, but heaven is still working. The noise may be loud, but God's voice is still stronger. The attack may be intense, but it does not have the authority to cancel what God is restoring in your life. Stand firm in this season. Protect your peace. Guard your focus. Do not run back to old cycles just because the pressure feels familiar. Do not let fear make decisions that faith will later have to recover from. God is restoring what the enemy tried to destroy. He is restoring your peace, your strength, your identity, your joy, your faith, and your ability to believe again. So pray this in your heart. Lord, strengthen me in the middle of this attack. Help me discern distraction, resist fear, protect my peace, and trust your timing. Restore what was broken. Heal what was wounded. Rebuild what the enemy thought he destroyed. Teach me to stand firm until I see what you are doing. The enemy attacked before restoration because he knew what God was rebuilding would be stronger than what was broken. And if this message spoke to your heart, watch the next video, God is restoring what they thought you lost forever.